Hey there, this is Red. It's time for a Red review. And from the look of the table there, you can tell we're going to talk about sleeves today. So I'll put a link up in the corner over there. Am I pointing? Yeah, I'm pointing in the right direction, I think, over there. Anyway, I'll put a link up there for Dale the Casual Gamer. He did a little bit of discussion about sleeves recently. And if you've ever talked to anybody that's gamed with me, I'm kind of into my sleeves. So when you get card games, they go into sleeves. That's just usually the way it happens for me. Um, Dale talks a lot about these Fantasy Flight sleeves here and them going out of print and some potential replacements for those. Now, for me, really, I think this is my only pack of Fantasy Flight sleeves. I have not used Fantasy Flight sleeves really for the majority of my collection, and I've got old Thunderstone stuff. I've got Thunderstone Advance. I've got Thunderstone Quest. I've got Pathfinder ACG. I've got some old Star Trek collectible card game cards. I got a lot of Magic. I've just got all sorts of card-based games out there that I pretty much sleeve everything I get. It's kind of a running joke in the game group. If people get their Gloomhaven, people get their expansions for Kingdom Death Monster. Hey Scott, I got cards. You want to come over and sleeve them? And I'm like, oh yeah. It's one of my favorite things is sleeving cards. Anyway, so I don't have a whole lot of experience with the Fantasy Flight ones. I do have a lot of experience with the Mayday card sleeves. Now that used to be my go-to. I bought tons and tons of Mayday card sleeves. Now, one of the things that you'll notice is on the Fantasy Flight sleeves and the Mayday sleeves, you can't really mix them together. Now, if I line them up, hopefully underneath the camera there, you can see that there is a couple of millimeters of difference. Now, if you're playing with the cards individually and collecting them, this would not be a big deal. But when you go to shuffle, it is a massive difference. Just even a millimeter is a massive difference in cards, right? So if you take a look at, I'm going to measure my Fantasy Flight one here, and it says it is 93, 94. We're at 94 millimeters for its size. And if I take a look at my Mayday card sleeve, it's going to drop in at right about 90 millimeters. Right now, the thing I will say about the Mayday card sleeves is when I put them in, most cards like a Magic card fits in there great and leaves a little bit extra space at the top. What I think the reason that they made the Fantasy Flights longer is to give you more plastic at the top so you get better closure, where if it's short, it might leave it open a little bit more, maybe more exposure, right? When you have like the old Thunderstone cards, they are just a little bit longer and it can create a problem. They fit widthwise in there, but the problem is that the top on some of the cards can almost peek out the top of the Mayday sleeves because they're just a little bit too short. Your standard like Magic card isn't a problem. Like I'll throw this island in here. And you can see I've got like a little bit of extra just at the top there. It's just fine, right? Whereas if I take this and put this in this Fantasy Flight sleeve here, there's going to be a lot of extra at the top there. Is there a way I can just position that so you can see it better? Maybe if I do it over here, there you go. You can see there's a lot of extra at the top there, right? And then the Mayday sleeve, not very much. All right, there's just a little bit there. All right. So I'm not sure if that's to help prevent stuff from getting to the card, but what you can't do is you can't really, it makes it tough to shuffle when you have your deck of cards. Like I have my cards here, when I shuffle them, if you go like this and they have, 2-3 millimeters of difference, it makes it really makes it really difficult to shuffle cards this way. All right, tuffle. That's a new word of the day. All right, so I didn't use Fantasy Flight very much. I went very heavily into the Mayday sleeves. The problem that I had with the Mayday sleeves was they would seem to be out of stock. Like I would buy my next Pathfinder expansion, right? finished off Rise of the Rune Lords and we would go for the next set, or some of the extended decks would come out and I couldn't get a hold of sleeves. So I was kind of busted. I couldn't get those into the deck. So what I didn't have a problem coming up with is these are just all Ultra Pro. So these are a lot of Ultra Pro Pro mats, and I think they were the Eclipse sleeves. So what I was getting initially was a lot of these right here, these Ultra Pro Premium sleeves. If you look, there, let's see if I can show inside there. It's clear on both sides. And what I moved to eventually as I started recording more was these Ultra Pro Pro mats. So if you take a look at the Pro mat, what you'll see is there's one side that's clear. It's kind of tough to show on camera, but there's another side that's got a matte finish to it. Now, where that helps camera-wise is that off of the clears, you can't see that from the camera, but for me, there's a big glare on the clears. And when I was playing with friends and stuff too, with the lighting, there would be glare on the clears where the mats help prevent lighting problems. Now, if I take a look at these, I'm going to get my little calipers out here. And these should all be about 100 micron sleeves. Oop, I'm getting a call. And if I take a look at them, they are, yeah, see, we're just under, there's 10 sleeves in this stack, and we're at about 2, which is about 100 microns a piece. All right. Take a look at the Fantasy Flight ones. We hit about the same range. Take a look at our Ultra Pros here. We hit about the same range. A little bit thicker on those than on the Pro mats. Most of mine at this point in time, my Ultra Pros are Pro mats. All right. I think these were Eclipse. I can't remember what the double clear ones were. Now I have these antimicrobial ones out there. Now, one of the things that I will say is like the Mayday has a premium and it has a penny sleeve version, which the thickness, they're much thinner, but they're a heck of a lot cheaper. All right, so if I take a look at these, I'm getting about half the thickness on those. All right, so these sleeves tend to be better for collecting, I would say. I don't do a lot of playing in sleeves like this because they don't feel right. But cards that I take, like my Magic cards, or as I'm sorting and putting Marvel Champions cards aside to like sell or something like that, or my Flesh and Blood cards, I'll use sleeves like this that are thinner to protect the cards as I put them aside for later. When I play, usually I'm using these thicker premium sleeves. Now, you start to run into cost at that point in time. So let's see here. I believe the Pro mats I've seen anywhere from 6 to about 10 cents a piece when you're buying the sleeves. The Maydays I've paid 5 cents per sleeve for the premium ones, and the thinner ones they call them penny sleeves because they're about, well, a penny per sleeve. The Ultra Pros here, I believe there's a penny sleeve version. These antimicrobial ones come out to about 3 cents per sleeve. So you're kind of looking at, some different variety there. I've actually been pretty happy with the Maydays, and if availability would have been good, I probably would not have switched away from the Maydays, but the Ultra Pros I've always been able to get a hold of, so I've stuck with those. And the matte recently doing the recording stuff and the lighting has really, really helped out, because previously I don't think there was matte options for sleeves. Every sleeve you got was crystal clear. So going into this year, one of the things that I was doing a lot of was I was buying these Eclipse Pro mats, and one of the things I thought I would try to do and see how it worked out is I went out to Alibaba and I found these unicorn sleeves. And the unicorn sleeves are one of the things that I was looking for, was something that was double matte, because nowhere could I find a double matte sleeve. So this one's matte on both sides, and they're about 100 microns, I think. Yep, I'm kind of hitting the 100 micron range. Now, lengthwise, let's take a look at the length on these. These hit at, what are we at? We're at about 92 there. Yeah, we're sitting at 92. And I think these Ultra Pros hit 91. Yeah, they're right at about 90, 91. Yep. So you had the Maydays at 90, the Ultra Pros at 91, and these at 92. If I remember what I just said a couple of seconds ago, yeah, about 92. So these are a little bit longer, so they can't mix in with my Ultra Pros, but they've got the double matte. And I bought like a million of these. I bought a lot of these sleeves. I think I've gone through half of them. Oh, and here's my box of what's left. So I still have a lot left. What I will say about these is when you go out to Alibaba and look at these, the price looks great, but shipping is going to double that or more. And some of the things going on trying to get things, I've had issues getting things out of China at this point in time. Some of the shipping's been a little bit complicated. So I did this once for a massive order of sleeves. Don't know that I would not recommend it for anybody else. So it worked once for me. It got me my sleeves at the beginning of last year that have lasted me throughout the year for all of the big games that I've gotten. That's been fantastic. Unless you're doing a massive bulk buy of stuff, I would not recommend going this route. I think Ultra Pros would be what I would recommend at this point in time. Be a little bit more price conscious. Maybe go after the Maydays. Again, I've had supply issues with the Maydays, but they've been perfectly good sleeves for me. All right, so all that said, that's kind of what's been going on. What I've been looking at recently is some of the other newer sleeves that are coming out. So one of the things I want to talk about real fast was when I got Gloomhaven, one of the things was I needed sleeves for it, and I ordered, there's on Amazon, there's a like $25 to $20 for 2,000 Gloomhaven sleeves. And I got those and they came in, and that's these sleeves right here. If I measure them, just so people know, they end up being on the penny sleeve side of stuff. So they're on the thinner side of sleeves. Now, the thing I will say about them is when I feel these penny sleeves, they're a little bit more plasticky. These feel a little bit more like, what would I equate them to? Maybe like the film you put on your windows or whatever. They have more of a chalkboardy kind of feel as you move them around. So they're not quite as pleasant, and they're a little bit more grainy as you use them. So I ended up going back to these for my Gloomhaven cards. And these I'm using as penny sleeves on cards that I sell, essentially. So these didn't really get play for me. I would not recommend the ones on Amazon there. I mean, they're okay. If you're just looking for cheap sleeves, I think they'll work all right, but I didn't find the experience of them great. Some people like them, not me. I wasn't a fan. All right. Other things I've been looking at recently was Keyforge sleeves just came out. These Gamegenic sleeves came out. Now, why these are interesting to me? Number one, double matte. It's the first double matte. Both sides are matte. I'm super excited about that. Other thing is they come in a count of 40. So if you're playing Keyforge, that's a good number to hit. They are at the 91 side on lengthwise. They're at 91. So the thing to note there is, even though these say they're about the same size as the Fantasy Flight ones, they are a little bit shorter versus your Fantasy Flight sleeves. Now, I guess these are golds, and I'm not sure that these are considered golds, or are these silvers? What do they call these here? They're your standard. These are standard card game sleeves. I think these are considered standard card game sleeves too. Yeah, because these say they fit your Warhammer Invasion, Game of Thrones, Pandemic, blah, 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 most trading card games. So I think that's your standard trading card game sleeve, or that's what this is too, but these will not mix and match. You're going to have different lengths on these two cards. So I do like these. These seem to be really nice sleeves. They're hitting in that, I think they're hitting that 100 micron range. Got about 10 of them. Yeah, they're kind of in that range. They're pretty close to there. So I think those are pretty cool. I do like these right now. I'd like to see where this offering goes. For my latest Scarlet Witch is coming out. and I've been watching WandaVision. So I want to try some of these Legion sleeves. I'm kind of intrigued by these that are matte on both sides. One thing that I don't like about them is the interior is white. So if there's any border that shows around the card, it's going to come through as white. I think I would like that to be black better, but you know, we'll give them a shot. And they're ending up, they're kind of in that 100 micron range too. So those seem kind of interesting. And then I keep hearing people talk about dragon shields. So I got some dragon shields to give them a try. Now, one thing I will note on the dragon shields is these are pro mats. And the interesting thing is they do their mat a little bit different than any of the other things do their mat. So it's got kind of more of a pebbled texture to it, more of a, I don't know, almost like a dragon scaly kind of texture going on. So these are definitely a more premium sleeve. And I believe size-wise, they're not quite as long as the Fantasy Flight sleeves, but they're pretty long. So they're, let's measure it out here. We're at a 90, what is that? That's a 93 almost. 1, 2, 3, 93. So it's a little bit longer than the other sleeves. They're definitely nicer. If I take a look at the thickness, they're going to measure up thicker than the other sleeves. Oop, they're not that thick. There we go. That's closer. I believe they say they're 120, so I think my caliper's off just a little bit. But these are definitely really nice sleeves, and it's my first time getting my hands on some dragon shields. For as long as I've played card games and stuff, not having used dragon shields is pretty amazing, I guess. The thing that I will not be doing is, so these run about 10 cents per sleeve. These run about 10 cents per sleeve. These also are, what are they? They run, I got my little list over here. 10 or 11 cents per sleeve. So these sleeves right here, I'm not going to go back and redo my existing, you know, few thousands of cards that I have in other games. I could see if I got another small game, like maybe I would use these for that small game if I had another 60 to 100 card small box game. I'm trying to think of something that came out recently. Like maybe I might take the Mind and throw it in instead of these, or I may, if I got a new Magic deck, like a Commander deck or something like that, I might throw it in one of these. I don't think that I'm going to bulk buy something like Marvel Champions, where I believe that I'm going to keep growing the set of cards and they need to be intermixable. And I end up with like 1,000 or 2,000 cards in that set, trying to put all of those in Dragon Shields, because that's going to be a bit on the expensive side. If you've got the money to do it, I think maybe that is a great idea, is to go after that. But that would be on the expensive side. In some games, I have a problem in some games where I pay more for the sleeves than I pay for the games. Somewhat, you know, these could potentially be double the price of some of this other stuff over here, or maybe, you know, maybe not quite double, but getting into that range. I'm not going to go back and re-sleeve a bunch of stuff in these. I think I would save them for specific things. So very nice, but I don't think I would go there for everything that I've got. All right, so to wrap up, what are my final thoughts here? So Mayday sleeves. I was very happy with Mayday sleeves. Had supply chain issues. Maybe that is not an issue for you. They're a little bit cheaper. I think they're a decent way to go. Ultra Pros. I have been very happy with my Ultra Pro card sleeves. If I did not have a huge stack of these unicorn card sleeves, I would be buying more Ultra Pros. You will also see almost every colored sleeve that I've got are Ultra Pro mats, and I've got a ton of those. So when I do get colored sleeves, I am getting Ultra Pro mats right now. Of the new cards that are coming out, these are kind of fun. They've got a lot of neat design backs for the Legion cards. You might check them out if you want something specific. I also have these ones here, which are POW card sleeves, which I thought about putting on my villain cards to play Marvel Champions. I think Scarlet Witch is going to get the Please Stand By, and I might do the POW for the villain. We'll see how it pans out there. These are kind of fun. The Keyforge sleeves, the Gamegenic sleeves in general, is kind of a new offering, and I'm pretty interested in those. They are nice sleeves. It's kind of nice that they come in a 40 pack, which, you know, fits with Keyforge. So it's good. They're also on the smaller size, so I like that they fit the cards better. The Dragon Shields are really nice. So my first box of Dragon Shields, and those are nice card sleeves. They're definitely premiums. Definitely I'm not going to drop my 1,000+ cards sets, run out and get Dragon Shields, because at $10 for a box, if I have 1,000 card sets, that's $100 in Dragon Shields. And I like my games, but I'm not sure that I like them that much. I like maybe $50 for my 1,000 cards, but $100 might be pushing it a little bit. So do like Dragon Shields. Probably use them for my smaller sets of cards that I'm gonna play a lot. So all right. I think that's going to wrap it up for all of my sleeve and stuff going on here. You got other card sleeves that you recommend out there? Are you a hardcore Dragon Shield person, or do you actually like playing with penny sleeves? That's something I can't do, but maybe that's the thing for you, is you like all your cards in penny sleeves. Let me know in the comments. If you have Legion card sleeves that you think are the ones, or some other design card sleeves. One of the things I haven't gotten, I have not bought any of the Marvel Champions card sleeves that have like the Black Panther logo on the backside of them. So maybe you recommend those, maybe not. Let me know what you think about those. All right, so that's it for now, and kind of wraps up my stuff on card sleeves. I would highly recommend taking a look at Dale the Casual Gamer's little thing where he talks about, I think it's Sleeve Kings that he's doing a little review of as potential replacements for his old Fantasy Flight stuff going forward. But it's worth checking out. Again, I'll put the link up in the corner over there, yeah, and you can go check it out. So that's it for now, and thanks for watching.